All right, let's talk about it. We've got all 12 teams, 6 matches, full weekend slate. We've got a triple header on Saturday. It's Washington Spirit versus North Carolina, kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Racing Louisville versus Angel City, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Kansas City Current versus Gotham FC, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Let's start with this first one, Lisa. Who you got in Washington Spirit versus North Carolina?
I have North Carolina winning this one. I'm going to start with my pick. Washington is tired. Yeah, they rested some players. They had some player management. Andy Sullivan did not play. She was actually listed as out for the midweek match against Chicago, but a bit of precautionary there, wanting to make sure that she continues to get better, knowing that they have a big match against North Carolina coming up. This is a rematch of the Challenge Cup final, and Caroline is back. North Carolina has Gray that's ready to go, continuing to get minutes and be a significant factor. Casey Murphy is back and doing incredibly well with North Carolina. North Carolina's at the bottom of the standings, and now standings don't mean much, but they're 1 win, 3 losses, and 1 draw in this regular season. They're coming off their first win in this regular season since the Challenge Cup. And a lot of that has to do with getting their players back, making sure everyone's healthy, and then what they're able to do with those players and with that personnel. And Washington's coming off of a really tough tie against Chicago. It's at Segra Field. So, frankly, that's a bit of a disadvantage to both sides.
Yeah.
Chris Ward will say that. He was pumped to go to SeatGeek Stadium and play there because he loves that field. It's bigger, it's wider, it's a great turf. So now playing at Segra, disadvantage to both sides. I still give North Carolina the advantage. Segra is a very narrow field. It's not very wide. And the way North Carolina plays with their box midfield and their outside backs and Matthias and Pickett getting up and occupying that wide flank space, it's a narrow field. So the box is going to feel a lot bigger to a team like Washington than it has in previous matches, for instance, in the Challenge Cup final. So because of that, North Carolina is going to control the midfield a little bit better. They're going to find their outlets in Matthias and Pickett, who are going to be able to send better crosses in and more frequent crosses in because the field's a little bit narrower. And Washington, they're tired right now. So I see North Carolina. What about you?
It's tough. I'm with you 100%. For all the aforementioned reasons.
Take all my reasons.
North Carolina is my pick. I think they have the better. They're going to have the better outside backs. In this match for sure. I think that's going to make a huge difference in this game, especially when you've got a player who likes to create some chaos on the wings, like Trinity Rodman. Only went 45 against Chicago, but I just think that ultimately that's not going to be a match that could be easy on her, because even if they try to switch her, you've got Matthias on one hand, you've got Pickett on the other. That's a tough duo to try to break down. And I really want to see Caroline kind of utilize the minutes in front of her, in terms of finally being back. But I don't know how that's going to look on a pitch like Segra. Like you mentioned, the narrow dimensions and just even the turf. It's a funny way that makes the ball. It's a certain type of trajectory that spins on the ball after you sort of bounces straight up. It's tough. It's tough. So we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? Maybe this has the makings of a draw. I don't want to jinx it, but
I thought that too. But
there's a lot of familiarity between these two teams, and that's always something I think about, where I'm like, maybe this is actually going to shake out in a draw. But I didn't want to start off our picks with a draw, so I'm going North Carolina as well in this one. Racing Louisville versus Angel City. Racing Louisville just made a trade, and now they are going to be going up against Angel City. Elisa, who are you picking in this one, and why?
I think the trade is hurting Racing Louisville. I mean, we talked about that in our news segment at the very start of this episode. Losing players like CeCe Kaiser, who have scored a goal, who's grown familiar with playing along Jess McDonald and Mina Ekic, and another player in Addison Merrick, a defender for Racing Louisville that's both now at Kansas City. This is tough for Racing Louisville, and they're not going to have another player before then, I don't think, not that I know of. And Angel City, they're coming off of a midweek game, but it was a really well-fought game against Houston. Angel City hasn't won in 3 games. I honestly could see the makings of a draw in this one as well, but I'm going to give the upper hand to Angel City in this match. I think losing a player like Kaiser takes away a lot of depth that Racing Louisville had in their attacking line and a bit of versatility that they have. And it's a detriment to them, and that they need to figure out how to work around that. And it's not going to happen in a few days' time. So Angel City in this one, I think Press is going to get a goal actually in this one.
I would love to see it. I'm also going Angel City in this one as well. I just think going from a Tuesday to a Saturday is a little bit different than going from a Wednesday to a Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
I know the travel is always going to be something in the back of a coaching staff's mind for the team in preparations for this one. But I just believe that the form that we saw at Angel City is going to carry them over in terms of momentum in racing when they go up against Racing. I'm not going to say that the absence or the immediate trade of Merrick or Kaiser is going to be the detrimental downfall of Racing Louisville. Like you and I both said, we think maybe there's another piece that's coming to that eventual trade. But for right now, for this weekend, you're shaking things up a little bit with your team ahead of a game that's going to be happening very, very soon. So they're going to have to make some adjustments without the depth there. And I just think that what we saw to June Endo, what we saw to Simone Charlie, what we saw to Tyler Lucy, what we saw to Kristen Press, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just think those pieces are going to come through with a result for Angel City. And I'm going to say that it's going to be a win for them. Yeah. Kansas City Current versus New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC. Lisa, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to go first on this one.
I want you to go first. Does Gotham get a third straight win?
No, I think I'm gonna save my draw, and I want to save it for this Saturday game of the three of them. I think that there's going to be some exciting soccer between these two teams. I like teams that have not been playing each other too often in this 2022 calendar year yet, and this is a duo of those teams right here. I think there could be some fun surprises within it. I'm excited to see Elise Bennett get a run at that Gotham FC defense. I think they've got some really good pieces there that maybe they just got some new footage on the young rookie to sort of go off of. But I love the way Elise Bennett plays. And I think in this game, Kansas City absolutely has to start her. And for Gotham, I think they are going to want to continue to try and build on their performances. We've talked a lot about the fact that they've been picking up these wins, but within these wins, there are not a ton of answers to the questions that we've had around this team and their attack, and wanting to see a little bit more from that. But I'm not too sure if we are going to see it in this match between these two sides. I think this has the makings of a draw, and that's what I'm going with. How about you, Lisa?
I like that you're sticking with the draw. This is Gotham's had a hard time scoring, right? They are coming off 2 wins, but they're narrow wins, 1-0 wins, where frankly in the game versus Gotham, in the game versus Angel City, it was one opportunity that Gotham was given, and Ifeoma Onumonu was able to score it. But that was it. Like, their expected goals for that game was under 0.5. They don't have that much attack. They're a much more defensive team this year. They're sitting back and they're not attacking. I think Kansas City's going to win this one. I think with Elise Bennett, as you mentioned, she's a player that has continuously grown with Kansas City and what she's been able to do. She's gaining more confidence. We talked about losing Kaiser and Merrick for Racing Louisville. Kansas City gets to add them. I think we could see minutes from Kaiser in this match for Kansas City. I do see that happening over a team like Gotham, but Gotham just offensively it isn't there enough. And Kansas City defensively, no, they haven't been great this year, 11 goals against in this regular season, but also they're going up against a Gotham team that isn't putting up 15 shots a game. So it's making that 1-2 really big stop in that defensive play, which Kansas City can do hands down, whether it's their back line or even AD Franch in goal. So I have Kansas City taking the win on this one.
I love it. I love it. Let's move ahead to Sunday. Another triple header of matches for everyone to take a look at. San Diego Wave FC versus OL Reign. That one is kicking off at 5 p.m. Eastern. When we're looking at these two, we got another couple teams with a lot of familiarity between them. Lisa, who are you picking and why?
This one might be my draw, Sandra.
All right, tell me why.
Might be my draw. There's just something so gritty about San Diego that they can pull out a win. And with OL Reign, they're a team that can put up shots and they can get opportunities and create chances, but it's finishing those opportunities that hasn't been consistent enough. And when you're going up against a San Diego back line that has Germa in the back line and Kaylin Sheridan in goal, that yes, they just conceded 2 goals against Portland, but one of those was a penalty kick and another was an incredible little cheeky pass in by Christine Sinclair to find that goal. So in the run of play, San Diego is a bit better at shot stopping, and that's largely in part due to Kaylin Sheridan. Now on set pieces, San Diego, not always the greatest, but against a team like OL Reign that can put up shots and they can put up chances. They also have an incredible goalkeeper in Fallon Tullis-Joyce. I think it's going to come down to a keeper battle between these two sides. Sheridan, Tullis-Joyce making huge saves across the pitch. A quick turnaround for San Diego from a Wednesday to Sunday match, but I don't think that matters with this gritty team that we're seeing in San Diego. Taylor Korniak coming off of brace. I expect to see big things from Alex Morgan in this match against OL Reign. She tends to rise to the occasion against big teams and put up a big performance. So I see a draw between these two.
All right. I respect it. Listen, I think I'm not anti-draw. We're not anti-draw on A3, but I just love to hear the reasoning behind it. I'm with you. I struggled with this one a little back and forth. I said, am I going to save my draw for this one? Am I going to try to cheat and say, oh, I should get a draw on Saturday's games and on Sunday's games? But I'm actually going to go with a winner in this one. And I think that San Diego is going to take it. I think that going, again, like I said, going from a Tuesday to a Saturday for maybe a team like Angel City might have a little bit of different energy. And I think that's the same thing here with going from a Wednesday to a Sunday for San Diego, a team that is not going to be traveling. They are going to be the hosts in this one. I'm loving the coaching matchups that we have been seeing between Casey Stoney and Laura Harvey in this one. And I think if San Diego can continue to sort of target somebody like a Sofia Huerta, because the blueprint is out there, while we're very, very impressed with what Huerta has been doing for the Reign and how the Reign have sort of been utilizing her as this key component to their offense. There's a lot of footage out there. There's a lot of tape out there on how to maybe try to limit this attack from OL Reign. And we'll see if Casey Stoney is going to utilize, a player to sort of task, Huerta specifically. But I'm going with San Diego in this one. I like the way they ended their match against Portland. They absolutely had the momentum. They're probably chopping at the bit. The fact that they probably should have had the win. I'm not too sure if we're going to get a high goal scoring affair in this one, because we've seen this OL Reign side struggle to break through and put up multi-goal games. That is not something that we've been seeing from San Diego. We've been seeing them able to put up multi-goal games. So not only am I going with San Diego, I'm going with a multi-goal win for them as well. Hopefully we get to come on here and talk about it. We'll see. Chicago Red Stars versus Orlando Pride.
I'm writing that down. I'm writing down multi-goal win.
Print it. Chicago Red Stars versus Orlando Pride. We've got two teams that have faced each other and had a little bit of a wild ending to that one. A 4-2 game the last time these two teams met. Some midweek energy for Chicago going into this one, but they are the hosts, Lisa. Orlando Pride obviously dealing with some things off pitch. But if you are looking at these two teams, do you have a winner and why?
I have Chicago winning this one. As you mentioned, a very high scoring affair. These two teams played just a few weeks ago in May, and with Chicago and what they were able to do, they did have Bianca St. George in that match. She actually ended up getting a goal. Pugh had a brace, and then the rookie Griffith also had a goal. But it was Orlando's late surge in the game. 83rd minute, Amy Turner, and then the 87th minute, a goal from Leah Pruitt that shows that Orlando they can be down, but they're not out. And that's something that you need to keep an eye on. And this Chicago team is one that hasn't always been good at doing that. We saw just last week, the first time that Chicago and Washington played each other in this regular season, Washington was able to come back and equalize in that game towards the end of it, in the 80-plus minutes of that game, and get the equalizer, despite Chicago having the lead since the 10th minute of that match. So it's playing up with Chicago that actually hurts them a little bit more. If they need to get multi-goals, and then they can afford to concede a goal in a match like this. Now, going up against a team like Orlando, I still see that Chicago is going to win this one. I think they'll go again and get the win. Orlando they've been struggling. They're coming off of 2 losses and a draw. They've put together good moments of games, but now with Amanda Cromwell gone, and there's are on leave right now, restrictive leave, and Sam Green, first assistant, there's a bit of turnover in the coaching staff. I think that could help a team like Orlando. It's good to kind of get some fresh blood in there. And with a player like Sydney Leroux, she can make things happen. But I still see Chicago getting the win in this one. What are you thinking?
Chicago, all the way. I'm going Red Stars. I'm going Red Stars, baby. Listen, this last game between these two ended kind of chaotic. We saw the return of Mel Pugh. She came into the second half. She had a ridiculous 45-minute performance. I'm also wondering if somebody like Bianca St. George is going to be available for this match. She has been someone who's currently been out. Chatting with head coach Chris Petroselli ahead of that midweek match against the Spirit, he alluded to the fact that St. George's is still unavailable, that the Wednesday match would probably be a game too soon for her return, but that the potential for her return against Orlando Pride was possibly more likely. Now, we don't have the availability reports ahead of that, but in the event that somebody like St. George is available, I really liked the combination play between Pugh and St. George during that initial match between the Pride. I think that is a player that maybe Mallory Pugh, while she has her head on a swivel looking around, will be there for her as an extra outlet. We'll see. We'll see if she's available or not. If not, I imagine that somebody like a Sarah Luber will continue to get the start in her absence. But I just think that being the host in this one, still having a quick turnaround, but not having the travel, having the momentum of their previous game, could possibly benefit the Red Stars. Their midfielders have had a lot of minutes on their legs, but they are still putting a ton of good performances out there. So we'll see how this one shakes out, but I'm giving this one to the Red Stars. Last one for Sunday, Lisa, we've got Houston Dash versus Portland Thorns. This one is kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern. You got a winner in this one? And why?
I love this matchup between these sides. When we look at Houston versus Portland, Houston, they're doing all right now. I mean, they had the one game without Rachel Daly, but it's a lot of pressure to put on players like Maria Sanchez and Michelle Prince to control everything. And at the pace that Portland's going right now, they were able to score 2 against San Diego, and then a series of some events, San Diego gets back into it. They end up tying that one. In this match, I see Houston taking the win. I'm so sorry. I see Portland taking the win. Gosh, I'm so sorry, everyone.
I would have been good either way.
Portland taking the win over Houston. They're playing in Houston, so a bit of an advantage to the Dash in this sense. And I really do like what Sarah Loudon's been able to do with the Dash. I just think that Portland's a bit stronger at this point with Smith, Sinclair, Janine Becky is also getting good, consistent minutes and contributing a lot. I see Portland taking the win in this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at these two. I like the matches between Houston and Portland in recent seasons. I would say maybe stemming as far back as 2019 for me. There has been something about these two teams going head to head where we see a really good competitive fixture between the two sides. And I imagine that's going to be no different in this one. And while Houston are the hosts in this one, they took that last game on the road against Portland, all 3 points in that one, 2-0 win. I think that Portland is going to come in this one a little bit prepared in a different way. Again, a huge playmaker involved in that win was Rachel Daly, also going to be absent. I'm going with Portland as well in this one. I got to imagine that they're also equally a little frustrated in how their match ended against the Wave. And despite having the quick turnaround, again, I think it's just different going from, a 2-day rest week or to a 3-day rest week. Wednesday to Sunday is different from Wednesday to Saturday. We will see what that looks like. I think if there is player rotation, which will likely come into play for Portland, it's not a big deal. They've got some really good depth on that bench. Players who can slot in and plug in and wherever in the system, you could see it still working for this Thorns side. So I'm going to be looking at Thorns for the win as well. So you know what we're going to do when we come back here, Lisa? We're going to talk about what we were right or wrong about when it comes to recapping these games. Listen, everybody, thank you all so much for listening to Attacking Third. We appreciate you all so much whenever you take the time to join us live.